So Trump gave a wonderful, amazing State of our Union address of 2026, and we're going to go through the highlights. In my personal opinion, the State of the Union is confident because we have Trump at the helm. Yes, there are a lot of gay people and a lot of black people that are very vocal and very loud about how much they hate Trump. But when you ask those people, will they ever go live in another country or will they go somewhere that's better, like Canada? Because if you're black or gay, Canada has all the free housing and they'll give you free money. So that's for blacks. And for gays, everything's rainbow. A lot of decriminalized pedophilia, like if you live in California. So you will have more acceptance. These people can move. They don't have to stay in the United States forever. The United States is only 250 years old. If you're talking about, well, my ancestors are here, your ancestors were in Africa too. You can always go back. But for those who want to just watch this country burn, even while they're in it, they have to be ignored, and we have to focus on the mission at hand. Trump has been making amazing progress, leaps and bounds. Even in a state where the governor is literally working with the CCP and the World Economic Forum to crush the people in his state, rents are still going down. People are going back to work in California. So we're already getting results from removing immigrants and reinforcing our laws that have already been on the books. That's all you can really ask for when it comes to a president. But on top of that, this man invoked tariffs where we have made almost $1 trillion in profit just for the SCOTUS to vote 6-3, that they want us to stop bringing in money for the country. Have you ever heard anything so ridiculous? We are actually making money, making the country great again, and they want us to not make money. They want us to give money away. All these social services, all these illegals, all these different things that people want us to pay for. And the one time we have a president strong enough to actually generate money, there are those who want us to return it. Well, I'll be the first to tell you, we're not returning shit. Actually, he doubled down, and now we're going to do a 15% global tariffs. The tariffs are going to guarantee, they're already bringing back manufacturing to the United States. Because even if Trump is president for the next 3 years, do you know how much money that's going to cost when you try to sell your products here? You're better off closing your plants in Mexico, closing the ones in Thailand, closing your plants in these other nations, and you're going to have to reopen here. And there won't be any slave labor available for you, unfortunately. You're going to have to hire Americans. And we're going to have penalties for people that think that as soon as Trump's not in office, they can sneak back across and start ripping us off again by utilizing slaves. Because that's what we call people that are working for, 5 cents on the dollar in suicide conditions. Some of these factories have nets outside their windows because the workers want to jump. And they do, but they want to keep you alive so you can keep working. Literal slaves. So people say, well, it's okay, Rico, we're exploiting slave labor in other countries. But if we don't support slavery, if slavery is the world's greatest evil, then we can't support it anywhere. Hiring illegal immigrants for jobs that they're working unqualified and they're working for half the price, that's slave labor. We have to outlaw it. But that's enough. Let's go ahead and go into Trump's speech. Let's hear what he has to say so we can examine it point by point. Take a listen.
Than ever before. Incomes are rising fast. The roaring economy is roaring like never before. And our enemies are scared. Our military and police are stacked. And America is respected again, perhaps like never before.
Now, what he's saying is true. The world saw what we did to Maduro, and those rumors are echoing around the world. The world also saw that we left Ukraine out to dry when they disrespected Trump, the White House, J.D. Vance, and he was being argumentative. The little midget that plays the piano with his dick, Zelensky. Once he became a little too argumentative, his mouth got a little too smart, we cut him off. Now you don't hear nothing about Ukraine no more, and the Russians are slowly but surely putting that entire nation into the meat grinder. and we're staying out of it. So the world understands that there are going to be consequences if you go against us. So they're afraid of us. He's absolutely correct. As far as our law enforcement, yes, we are stacked. Yes, we are strong, but only in states that are still a part of the republic. California is not under our federal umbrella. They are no longer a part of the republic. Neither is Oregon, neither is Washington State, and famously, neither is New York State. I did a video yesterday showing how the NYPD the mayor allowed criminals to pellet them with snowballs, something that until yesterday was illegal to do. That would be assault. But in these certain blue states, like in California and New York, our police forces are being dismantled. They're not just being defunded, but they're looking for reasons to fire officers. So it's in officers' best interest to not show up to calls, not to arrest certain people, especially based on your race. If you're black, they can't touch you, and just allow crime to happen and people to be victimized. So that's partly right with what he's saying, but then again, there are cutouts of the country that have fallen to communism that the president and our federal government no longer control. We still give them money. Like in Minnesota, we give, small fry and the retard, the governor, we give them money. But do they listen to us? Do they follow our orders? Absolutely not. There are no Somalians. There's not the prison isn't full of Somalians. There are some being deported, but we don't see enough action. So I'll be honest, I have to give him a 5 out of 10 when it comes to the state of our law enforcement overall. I would have to give him a 5 out of 10 on that statement.
In the past 9 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States. But we will always allow people to come in legally, people that will love our country and will work hard to maintain our country.
And I have to disagree with this. We have enough Americans. Allegedly, we have 340 million. I will dispute that number until we do a census that is based off of citizenship, where we can actually account for everyone that's here and not just fake people who are used to cushion voter rolls in states that can get more congressional seats per population, not citizen. Until we can do an audit and accurately count those people, I'm not going to say we have the population that we assume that we have. However, I disagree with Trump. Less is more. We have enough people. We have enough talent. There's nothing special about these people that we're importing from the Koreas. There's nothing special about the H-1 visa people from India. It's not like they can fucking fly. It's not like they can do anything different than an American. They can learn to do a job the same way an American can learn. However, for every immigrant, legal or illegal, that we bring into the United States and we hire, that's one job taken away from one of our American children. We need every single job. We don't need anyone on welfare. We don't need anyone in unemployment. As a country built on capitalism, putting people in welfare purposely so we can employ others, well, that's the hallmarks of capitalism, of communism. You might think it's fair, but you're creating a communist utopia for people who are out of work, subsidizing their housing, subsidizing their food, subsidizing their income so that you can hire others. How does that make sense? It doesn't. So that's another thing that I have to disagree with Trump on right there. This whole importing, we need a ban on immigration. I would say 10 years. No new citizens. We don't need any new friends. And we have to weed out the people that are troubled here. But the reason these people here are so troubled and have so many issues is because they are not working. They're out protesting because they don't have jobs. That is their job, to go out and protest, to go out and complain. They're not gainfully employed. But how can you be? How can a regular American who's entitled compete with a fucking slave? You can't. There is no competition. The slave wins. I'm so used to seeing slaves. It wasn't until I left to another state when I was a kid that I ever seen somebody who wasn't an illegal alien working at a business, working at a store, working at a mall, working at a warehouse, working at a car wash, working at a restaurant. I've never seen it. I've never seen a black or a white or Asian person working in a business in California. It wasn't until I went to visit my aunt in Arizona that I seen my first non-Hispanic employee working at a register in a store, and I had no idea what was happening. I didn't know that was a thing. So we do need a moratorium on all immigration, legal or illegal.
I say tonight, members of Congress, the state of our union is strong. You're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud. The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in.
Yeah, fuck Jalen Hurts. Screw any of these other communists, the Marxists who don't want to come to the White House. They don't want to meet the president. Fuck them all. We have others who are in this country who love this country, not people who just happen to luckily be born in this country, but hate it here, but refuse to leave. We actually have patriots. So we're going to celebrate these men for their victory. So this was also a good point. But Trump is saying we're going to win big. I hope so. The thing is, since we've deported a huge vast of their voters that were voting illegally, I think we are going to do good. But then also we have the results. We've made money with tariffs. People are back to work because their slave competition have been removed. And rents are going down. Rents haven't went down in 20-something years in California. They've been going up. Now they are going down. An apartment that I wanted to do Airbnb in, I was going to rent it and do like a arbitrage. And I was looking at it last year. It was like $3,500. It was a 2-bedroom. And I was like, okay, I did the math. I did the analytics. I go to look at that place like a week ago. They wanted $2,450. That's like a 25% difference. What's the difference between 8 months ago and today? The difference is Trump put belt to ass in MacArthur Park, and he scared the living daylights out of all the illegals, and he let them know you will not be working here anymore. And any companies that hire you, anybody who enables you, they are also going to eventually be brought up on charges. And people got the fuck out. A lot of people were deported, but a lot of people self-deported and did the right thing. You can now they're in Mexico waving their Mexican flags. They should be happy. Celebrate where you want to be. See, I'm wearing a MAGA hat because I love where I'm at. I'm here in the United States. I visit other countries periodically, but this is home. And I make these videos because I want to make sure my home gets better and that I can be a part of whatever this push that we are to make things great again. I remember what life was like under the Democrats, under Biden and Harris. I remember how things were destroyed and all they offered you was death and homosexuality. That's all they offered you. And vaccines that magically give you heart attacks and ALS and, cancer. They offered the hell out of that. Remember his patience was running thin. Remember that? And you guys are in a hurry to go back to vote for them. And that's why I make these videos, because I'm not going to let you forget. I'm not going to let you live this down. But let's keep going. And do me a favor, share the video, push me into the algorithm, like the channel, subscribe. I appreciate you guys for being here. Good morning. This is something great to wake up to, that we can discuss the state of the union of our country. This is our republic. We are not a democracy. And we have to speak about what's good for us regionally, but also nationally. It's an America first and an America only agenda. And that's all we're going to worry about.
They beat a fantastic Canadian team in overtime, as everybody saw, as did the American women who will soon be coming to the White House. That I will soon be presenting Connor with our highest civilian honor, which we will be given and which has been given to many athletes over the years. But when I say many, not too many, like 12, it's called the highest civilian honor in our country, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Despite the disappointing ruling, these powerful country saving, it's saving our country, the kind of money we're taking in, peace protecting. Many of the wars I settled was because of the threat of tariffs. I wouldn't have been able to settle them with that.
Absolutely. The conflicts in the Middle East, the conflicts between Vietnam and Cambodia, the conflicts between Thailand and Vietnam. Trump went into these nations and he threatened to add tariffs to their products that they literally, the United States is their number one customer. You know, people don't understand how the world actually works. See, the whole world is fucked up. 90% of the world is basically poor. A lot of the world is not consumers. The United States, because of how our tax system works, a lot of the money we generate, we keep. We don't do socialism. We're not communists with the things that they're calling for. A lot of these other countries, if you own a business, they'll tax you 85, 90% of your income to cover all the housing stipends for illegals, the free health care, the allowances they give these people. So you're only walking away with like 10% of everything you earn. So a lot of people, especially in countries like in those European nations, they don't even bother trying. What's the purpose of me opening a business? Why do you think that you don't see a lot of new companies coming out of these places? Everything, all the big boys, all the massive corporations, all are based here in the United States. So when you're producing products in other countries, everybody's thinking, okay, if I'm in Brazil, I'm making certain clothing, I'm going to sell it to this country, that country, this. That's not how it works. The United States customers are your only customers for the most part. Other parts of the world, they don't even have the money or the flexibility to purchase from these other countries. Everyone's depending on us. So when Trump threatens to add a tax on top of products that you already have to sell to Americans, and you have to compete with not just other Americans, but other countries, that could make or break your economy. And they have to fold. You're better off threatening somebody with financial consequences than you are with physical consequences. Saying I'm going to come in there and blow up some stuff in your country and start shooting. Yeah, that's scary, but eventually that'll be over and you can rebuild. But when someone says, I'm going to pull the rug from under you, take your money away, well, now you can't even afford to rebuild. That's a completely different set of threats. So for them at the Supreme Court to not be mindful enough of, and not be able to understand the bigger picture when it comes to the tariffs, it's mind blowing, and they're just being a little too technical. The beautiful thing is the judges don't have their own army. Trump does. Therefore, we can choose to listen to you, and others can too. But there's no means of enforcement. We have something called federal supremacy. I voted for Trump to be my president, not Gorsuch, not fucking Alito, not Sotomayor. I voted for Trump. So that's who I'm going to listen to, and that's the agenda we're going to go for. So we're going forward with the tariffs. We're not refunding shit. So who was that just tried to sue Trump? Yeah, don't hold your fucking breath.
Will remain in place under fully approved and tested alternative legal statutes. They have been tested for a long time. They're a little more complex, but they're actually probably better, leading to.
You know, when I look at these people that hate Trump that are white, you realize they're all around the same age as Trump. White people have the same issues blacks have when it comes to jealousy and envy. To see another man who's the same age as you, but he's made it further in life than you, and you compare yourself to him, it's a natural thing, the jealousy and envy. Because I'm looking at some of these white people, and I'm like, why are you so mad at Trump? You're not even gay. And it's just a jealousy and envy thing. They compare themselves to him. Oh, well, me and him are the same age, so we should be at the same point, but he's here and he's looking down on me. People have these mental issues. But if they just remove their emotions and go off of what's best for the country and look at the bigger picture, a lot of that would dry up and they'd feel a lot better about themselves. That's just my own personal opinion, by the way.
A solution that will be even stronger than before. Congressional action will not be necessary. It's already time tested and approved. And as time goes by.
Yeah, 6 bankruptcies, not very bad for a person who's been in business for 70 years, dipshit. When people bring up bankruptcies, it just tells me you don't do business and you don't understand how bankruptcies work. You think that means you failed and you lost. You are completely wrong, but you don't understand the system because you're not a part of it. You are a beggar. You are someone who depends on the sympathy of others so that you can survive. You need my tax dollars to feed you and your kids and to subsidize your housing because you can't stand on your own. You're in no position to give financial advice. You don't have any proof that you know what you're talking about. That's what failure breeds. It just breeds people with a lot of opinions, but no proof that they can show, hey, Rico, this is where I'm at right now. And this is how I got there. So I know what I'm talking about. You don't have it. You don't. So we've learned to tune those types of people out. So but it's a dead giveaway when you say idiotic shit like that.
I believe the tariffs paid for by foreign countries will, like in the past, substantially replace the modern day system of income tax, taking a great financial burden off the people that I love. Now, the same people in this chamber who voted for those disasters suddenly used the word affordability, a word, they just used it. Somebody gave it to them, knowing full well that they caused and created the increased prices that all of our citizens had to endure. You caused that problem. You caused that problem.
I can't stand that autistic piece of shit terrorist gay right there, Hakeem Jeffries. He was screwing with Epstein, right? He's on that list, begging for money. But in exchange for what, Hakeem? What was you giving up for that money? You little creepy, little fucking funny faced.
They knew their statements were like.
You're not going to see very many blacks that are going to stand because the blacks and the gays are one. They hate people like Trump because he ruined their plans to get pedophilia decriminalized throughout the country. It happened in California. It's Senate Bill 145. That Senate bill was making its way east. It was already on the ballots in Colorado and other states secretly until famously Donald Trump and Charlie Kirk started speaking about it and about how there was a push where if you're a pedophile and you sodomize a little kid, if the kid identifies as gay and you're an older man but you're gay, they won't make you register as a sex offender. And everyone knows the punishment is not going to jail. The punishment is when you get that little dot next to your name and you have to inform anywhere you move that you're a pedophile and you're not allowed to live by schools or by kids. And that's the real punishment. And in California, instead of changing the culture of grooming and preying on children, they decided to change the laws. That started making its way east. Kirk and Trump talked about it, and they wanted Kirk's head and Trump's head ever since then. So because of that, the gays and the blacks who are one and the same, they hate Trump. There's no other, you can't ask them to explain any other reason why they're hating Trump, why they're against America. When it comes to blacks, it's a little bit more. Yes, the Senate Bill 145 being shut down in other states, that justifies why the gays hate Trump. But when it comes to the blacks, it's not just Trump. They hate any and everybody that's white. They all have this, they run and they campaign to their low IQ constituents, and they are basically find roundabout ways to say that they're going to get justice and they want revenge for a slavery that they never personally went through. And they're not even sure if it even happened the way Alex Haley, who wrote the book Roots miniseries, they're not even sure if it happened that way, but they want revenge. And they hate any and everybody white, which is why when someone white is stabbed in the throat on a train, the blacks celebrate. Or when a kid stabs a white kid, a black kid who was breaking into people's bags and trying to steal their belongings, when a white kid named Austin confronts him and the black kid stabs him in the chest, that's why the blacks celebrate by showering him with money. They want to encourage more violence against white people. White people are so nice and generous, or they're so gullible, that they still allow these people to exist in their republic, knowing that they want to kill them, their children, and their women. There's already, so like I said, eventually, but they have taken measures to do something about that, i.e. the COVID vaccine. Yeah, it wasn't really one size fits all. Yeah, me and you could take the same injection. It's going to affect me differently because I'm darker than you and I have a higher testosterone level than you. Those injections were testosterone reactive. So due to Epstein's research, the coming race war that was supposed to happen, where the blacks were going to try to organize this fake revolt revolution and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's canceled because they don't have the numbers anymore. Their population, unbeknownst to the public, went down from 13% to 9%. Look up the excess deaths in the United States and look who they belong to and where. Before this is over, by the time the alarms are sound, their population will be at 3%, and that'll be in the next few years. Therefore, that war is over, but we're going to still have to deal with the gays. We're going to have to make sure our republic, not just, it's safe and it's secure, and it's happening. So even while you sleep, the vaccine is still working. So you got to at least be grateful for that, right?
They knew it. They knew their statements were a dirty, rotten lie. Their policies created the high prices. Our policies are rapidly ending them. We are doing really well. Those prices are plummeting downward. So in my first year of the second term, should be my third term, but strange things happen. I took prescription drugs.
Now, I'll be honest with you. That break that he took from 2021 to 2025, we needed it. We needed that vaccine. These people, Biden, Harris, they pushed the fake virus and they pushed the real injection that's not a vaccine, but it's a poison that is depopulation serum. They pushed it so hard. Oh, they pushed it, promoted it. Trump didn't have the stomach for it. I think Trump knew what it did. He didn't have the stomach to give it to Americans. Biden Harris had zero problemo because they understood who it was actually effective within. So I'm kind of grateful that Trump, that they used fraud to keep him out of office while they euthanize an entire swath of Americans who are unpatriotic, hateful, evil. I'm glad that we took that break to focus on those people and give them an injection that in a few years will eventually remove them, and they'll be none the wiser of what's happening because they'll be too much in denial. I mean, a lot of them are dying now, but they've had these diagnoses of their cancer and their other diseases since 2022, right after they took the injection. The mandate ended December 12th, 2021. By the beginning of second quarter 2022, they were already having their diagnosis, and they've kept them alive with medication, and then all of a sudden they expire, and you find out they've known about this for years. They just didn't say anything because, well, they knew there would be people like me that were going to say, "I told you so," because I begged you all to not take it. So you got to kind of look at the glass as half full. Everything happens for a reason, right? So that's why that had to happen.
A very big part of healthcare, from the highest price in the entire world to the lowest. There's been no more stunning example than Minnesota, where members of the Somali community have pillaged an estimated $19 billion from the American taxpayer. Oh, we have all the information.
19 billion in what, 10 years, 12 years, 19. Do you know how much 1 billion is? The crazy part about the Somalian community, they're all over the United States scamming. None of us know any of them personally because they live in their own little enclaves, speak their own language. They don't even deal with us Americans because they never wanted us to find out that they're stealing all this money, because then we might ask them to show us how to do it. And then they don't deal with us. They don't like us. They're here to get paid. They're paid to live here. It's crazy. The NGOs pay their rent, give them free housing, free Medicaid, free cash, free food stamps. And all they have to do is just live here as a warm body and illegally vote. And they're counted on the congressional seats. So they're counted just for being there. They serve a lot of purpose, bringing in all these people from other countries and just plopping them in certain areas, and they don't do anything but just sit in the house and scam. It went off without a hitch for a long time. And because we don't know their real identities because they're illegals, it's going to be really hard to prosecute them. But what we can do is put up safeguards and try to get some of the money back and stop new scams from happening. At least let Americans get paid from this, not fucking bunch of unnamed foreigners that we can't find.
And in actuality, the number is much higher than that. And California, Massachusetts, Maine, and many other states are even worse. This is the kind of corruption that shreds the fabric of a nation, and we are working on it like you wouldn't believe.
You know, it's crazy. My some friends I work with, they were like, "We're going to expand our restaurant." I said, "To where?" They were like, "Well, to the space next door." And I'm like, "I thought that space was vacant." They were like, "No, there's a tattoo shop there." And I'm in Arizona, and I'm like, "A tattoo shop?" We've been going and we've had this restaurant next to this space for over a year. There's never been one person inside that space this entire time. But on paper, it says there is a bubbling, huge tattoo shop doing thousands of tattoos and customers a week. And it's all a lie. That's how it works out here in the Southwest. Everything is money laundering, fraud, fake addresses, fake voters. And then they can just say we're making money from these shops, but really it's just all money from human trafficking and drug smuggling. That's it. That's everywhere, all up and down California, even in the nice areas of Santa Barbara, San Diego, everywhere. And here in Arizona, even in Scottsdale, all these empty plazas, if you look at it on papers, they're booming metropolis shopping centers with billions of customers every day buying God knows what. But in real life, it's an empty, Breaking Bad looking scenario. All fraud. And no one ever wanted to tackle it and go after it. Now we have independent reporters who are being rewarded handsomely, like Nick Shirley, and we're making a difference. So I appreciate Trump is bringing this up. No other president ever would. So good job, Trump. So I have to give Trump credit for this. This is a good job.
Tonight, although started 4 months ago, I am officially announcing the war on fraud to be led by our great Vice President J.D. Vance.
And look at Ilhan. She's still here, fucking her brother and everything, and she's still in our country, and she doesn't belong here. She doesn't belong sitting in that seat. But I think that they're going to save her for last. We're going to watch her entire network be dismantled around her, and she's going to have to answer to the terror group that she works with, probably in Somalia, the one that coordinates with all these NGOs. And eventually, they might even have some words for her. So we're just going to wait and see. But we're going to keep certain people. We're going to save the best for last. We're going to watch them. They're going to have to watch everything become dismantled. It'd be too easy to go after her first. We'll save her for later.
As we ensure that all Americans can profit from a rising stock market, let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information.
You know what? The thing is, if they are remigrating people back, the next thing is we don't care who's next. They all will go. Everybody. All of them. It's America for Americans. And it's America first and America only.
If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
Now, you heard what he said. The duty of the United States government is to protect American citizens and not illegal aliens. Agree. If you agree with this statement, stand up. He just set the biggest trap for the midterms and for the next election that anybody ever could. Because now they're going to pan around the room and you're going to have to basically say the person I'm voting for, even though they said it's not the government's job to protect Americans, I'm still going to vote for them because I think the government's supposed to protect Mexicans and Chinese or Indians. If you're that dumb, you should not be living in this country anyway. This is the wrong country. Trump set that trap. They walked right into it. There's nobody that should have been dumb enough to not stand when he said this. So let's pan around the room. And look at all those fucking idiots that are sitting down, publicly making it known that they don't believe it's the government's job to make the security and protection of Americans its priority. So who is the priority? Name the country. And that's going to be a really tall order for these people. They're going to have a really hard time explaining this. Even if the constituents hate Trump, they still think the country is for them, right? They call themselves Americans. I mean, they have citizenship. Well, then what's the point of citizenship if the people you're voting for think that you should be a second or third class citizen? They don't even think that you deserve the primary protection. So what are you going to do? Trap set, and they stumbled right into it beautifully.
You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
And those are the two stars of the show. Those two people, this image is going to reign in the minds of Americans going forward. And we are going to remember how this played out. We're not going to forget. These two are public enemy number one. Non-Americans, foreigners who have our laws were so gracious and lenient that we allowed them to become elected officials. And then we find out that they're working on behalf of the countries that they fled. But they're actually, turns out they're really just plants that were purposely sent here. And they were put into these positions on purpose to help basically circumvent the will of the people here in the United States. Our naivety is how so much of this has been going on and we never addressed it. But we're not naive anymore. We're not.
In Charlie's memory, we must all come together to reaffirm that America.
Hey, Matt, I'm sorry to hear about those two piece of shit tramps being from your state, but hopefully they won't be for long, right? The pressure is on. They're in the cooker. All of their constituents that build that helped, generate their little bit of power. Well, they're all being arrested. They're being deported, or they're self-deporting and they're running. So what's going to be who's going to make up their army now? She's going to have a hard time recruiting. No one's going to want to touch her or go near her. And anybody who's went against Trump or went against the United States, they were dealt with swiftly. Those women are not Americans. They are not going to receive any mercy from the United States going forward. This is crunch time. This is wartime. This is not the time of peace where, the niceties are what matters. What matters is who has the hammer, who has the weapons, who has the manpower, and to the winner goes the spoils. We won. We're going to keep winning. I don't like this piece of shit, Erica Kirk. She shouldn't have been there, but she's still running her scams. And yes, she's still going to be showing up here and there, but she lost a lot of her prominence. I think the whole Erica Kirk thing went belly up. I don't think she's going to ever be Erica Kirk Vance. I think that's off the table.
Is one nation under God, and we must totally reject political violence of any kind. My preference is to solve this problem through.
Yes, Jen, I do live in a house. Thank you for acknowledging that. I live in a very nice house in a very nice city. It's expensive, but I will be back in Texas soon at my other house, and that's where I'm going to be building my studio. So I appreciate you being here and showing up. Yes, thank you very much for acknowledging that. I wasn't going to think about it myself, but yeah, Jen, she's never beating the allegations. Never. She's not going to be able to. How could she? The Democrats want a one world government. I'll be honest with you, the Democrats, they don't want any government. They want to be able to, they're the people that they represent want to be able to commit sex crimes against kids without getting convicted. And the other ones want to be able to steal and murder people without being convicted. That makes up the gay and the black community. That's the only problem communities we have in the country. And it's actually now one and the same. The gay community is the black community. I don't know if you guys know any black people lately, but they're all gay. So they're one and the same. Those two issues are going to kind of sort themselves out thanks to Epstein's research and the vaccine. Now we can focus on going forward with these other issues, which is pretty much just going to be the illegals and what we're going to do about the holdouts that are still here. ICE is doing an amazing job. We're going to need to support them more. I even went out and bought ICE gear. I bought ICE sweaters, and I'm walking around. No one ever says anything to me because I'm a big dude, but it does change the minds of people who are on the fence. They're less ashamed of sharing these pro-America views. Even though this is the only country you've ever lived in, and you only speak English, and you'll never live anywhere else for the rest of your life. But you're ashamed or you're scared to talk about how you're proud of your country. They want you to hate yourself, hate your ancestry, your lineage, and to be ashamed. You got to ignore these people. They're evil. You shouldn't even humor what evil has to say. They shouldn't be able to shame you. You're not privileged. You're a person, and you know what's best. Use your moral compass that God put inside you, and just follow it. You don't have to fall for all the shaming and all that negative bullshit. It's fake. It's just to control you and get you to let your guard down. Don't ever do it.
Diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are.
Zach, if you feel that way, why do you live in Trump's country under his presidency? When are you going to move to Canada? Find a superior country. But this is a question you can't answer because it's not true. Trump, we voted for Trump. We didn't vote for you. We don't like you. We like Trump. So if you're uncomfortable living under Trump or in this country, why are you still here? I think you're just lying. You love it. You love Trump. You just want attention. So I gave you some. Good morning.
By far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen.
I disagree. Everyone has nukes. Israel has nukes. And many say that they assassinated Kennedy because he didn't want them to have nukes. So if everybody has nukes, then that's a good deterrent. We should not tell other sovereign nations that they can't have access to certain technology. That's not our place. They are a sovereign nation. They're not under us. They're equal to us. So I don't think that's fair. And then also, again, Israel has access to those same weapons, and they're actually hostile against the other country. Having these types of weapons seems to be the only deterrent from other countries invading. The only countries that don't get invaded are countries that allegedly have nukes. In my personal opinion, nukes don't exist. They're fake. But if you call out that it's fake from one side, then the other side gets called out as being fake. And then where are we? Now there's no excuse not to invade each other and go to war every month. The threat of nukes, even if they don't exist, is a really good deterrent. And it does increase global stability. But as far as I'm concerned, they're fake. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were hit with extensive and very powerful fire bombs, the same as Dresden, Germany, which no one ever talks about, but it was even destroyed the same way. You know, that a lot of people died from suffocation in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It wasn't due to radiation exposure because the fire ate up it consumes so much oxygen that people literally asphyxiated. So that's the same thing that happened in Dresden too. So I don't believe in nukes, but using that as a precursor, as an excuse to invade or attack another country, I think that's weak, and I don't agree with that when it comes to Trump.
The golden age of America is upon us. The revolution that began in 1776 has not ended. It still continues because the flame of liberty and independence still burns in the heart of every American patriot. And our future will be bigger, better, brighter, bolder, and more glorious than ever before. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
Powerful speech, and he's right. It does live in the heart of every American patriot, not just every American. There's a lot of people that have citizenship and that were born here, but they're not Americans, and it doesn't live within them. Hate and jealousy and envy and evil lives in a lot of these people. They're sick, and they want to see this place burn, even with them in them. But we will remove them before we let it burn. So at least we have that to listen. We have that to look forward to. We're in some exciting times. I mean, this is history. The Trump years are history. There will never be another Trump, and they're going to be writing about him for generations. And people are going to ask you, do you remember those years? I mean, this is kind of reminiscent of if you were alive under the Kennedy administration. Every day was historical. So many moving parts in a short period of time. So I see the Trump years as being the same way. So this was my recap of the State of the Union address 2026. I appreciate you guys for all tuning in. I'm going to post this video in a few hours, but thank you all for tuning in live. Remember, it's America first and America only.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.